say, Mr. Sell, I don't know. Let me take it to market. I'll come back and tell you what we got, and we'll decide together if it's a good idea or not, like as partners. Because you are kind of quasi partners until you sign it off to them, right? Because you're working together to get someone in there.
I got a couple duplexes. I was gonna call on looking at possible AOs. Wendy actually called on one already. He wasn't open to terms, so I was just gonna follow up with the maybe an AO with him, see if he's still open to that, because it sounded like he was running it out. The other one actually called me. He's in Tennessee, thinking I'd want it as like a long-term rental. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't cash flow, but I was going to call him back anyways, try to talk about it AO, and then maybe kick it over to Jessica Johnson since she's back there. I guess my question is then, like, what are some opportunities? I guess we would find a buyer that would buy one side, would live in one side now with the intent of owning both sides in the future for the, as maybe a family deal, or could he sell each side individually and make more? Because the one in Tennessee, he was offering them as a duplex, but he was also offering them together or at separate as well.
So I have a few questions, Mike, if I can jump. I want to answer how to handle the marketing of a 2-unit in a minute, but just to clarify with this guy, Kyle, because you have options, it's kind of cool. Are these separate deed, like condoed? Because you said you can sell them separately.
I looked at the one online, the one in Tennessee, and it looked like there were two houses together, right? So I don't know if there's a separate deed. So that's a question I need to find out.
Like in Massachusetts, they have what's called a 0 lot line. You don't have to subdivide it or separate it. You can sell them off separately. They're deeded that way, but it's one house. So you just got to find out. I'm asking that because if they're separate, then sell them separate.
Yeah, and I would bet the one in Tennessee is probably separate.
Okay.
Just the way he marketed to me, like, hey, you can buy them both now, or you can buy just one.
Great.
So
I would do separate.
Me to, yeah.
If it's a 2-unit though, would it be helpful if I explain the marketing to you guys?
Yes.
Regular 2, because we've done a bunch and we've had success every time. So what's cool about the 2s is you'll market it simultaneously as the price, like market-wise, for 1 unit. And you'll explain to the buyers when they call that there's another unit if they can afford it and or have family members. If they can't, then they can just stay in 1 unit and pay that 1 unit. You'll rent the other one out for the time being until such time they get financing, then they take over the whole thing. But every time we've done that, a family has come forward and wanted to utilize the whole thing. I'm talking about 2 units and not separate deeds. And we did the same in Connecticut when we had a house, John. It was a house with the partner of the garage. We treated it like that. We said, we'll keep the rent until you're at a certain point, and then you can take it over. Like, there's all kinds of ways to do it, but you can market it 2 different ways minimum, Kyle, for exposure.
So the 2 ways would be to market them separately?
One by itself, and you're going to explain to them when they come in that they can have the whole thing for the bigger price, or they can wait until they get financing and then you'll turn it over. But in the meantime, you're going to rent it out and keep the income. That's one way. Second way is you market the whole building as like an in-law type family setup, and you market it that way. 2 units, bring your family, because a lot of these people are consolidating with mom and dad-in-law or mom and dad. Does that make sense, you guys, how I said it? Like, Okay. It just allows you to have more conversations, Kyle, because someone's going to call you and you're going to go, yeah, but you can do the whole thing. Someone else is going to call and go, well, if you can't afford it, you can do 1, right? So you're just going to have more conversation.
You always want to drive traffic through the listing or through your marketing.
That's why 2s are good for Antone, but I get I'm thinking I wasn't too clear, Kyle. Mike, you have questions on that?
No, I just think I need to mull over how I'm going to say it when I get into that conversation.
To the seller or the buyer?
To the seller.
Got it.
So like,
if it's to the seller, let's talk seller on the 2s. If it's to a seller who has separate units, you're talking about 2 different houses. Because they're probably gonna max it out, I'm thinking. If you're talking to a seller who just has a 2-unit building, right? Pretty standard, or building with an in-law, right? You're just talking like you would a single family house. Happens to have 2 units. From the seller standpoint, it's no different. It's when you go to market it.
Okay.
Because
usually because when we get into the AOs, that's where we sometimes end up talking about the buyers, right? So the seller understands.
I got you. Explaining an AO to a seller. Okay.
Yeah. And the type of
as far
buyer
as the
that we would
2-unit thing.
find.
Well, okay. Here's the conversation. You're the seller. I'm going to say the same way I would to a buyer, but now I'm explaining to you as a seller. So Kyle, we have two options. I'm going to go to market with it. I'm going to try to get someone for the whole thing that might have family members, or I might find someone that right now, until they get their financing, can't afford it. So guess what, Mr. Seller, you get to keep the rent over here until they get their financing. They're your buyer, but they can't afford the whole thing yet. Rent this one out. You get the best of both. You got someone that's going to buy the whole place in 2 years or 18 months. And then while they're doing that and they get mortgage ready, you can rent it for 18 months.
Okay.
That's how I'd say it.
Okay. That helps. That makes sense.
I wasn't putting AO together with that. Sorry. So yeah, that's how I'd say it.
Okay, cool.
And you know what the bottom line is? I don't know. I say, Mr. Sal, I don't know. Let me take it to market. I'll come back and tell you what we got, and we'll decide together if it's a good idea or not, like as partners. Because you are kind of quasi-partners until you sign it off to them, right? Because you're working together to get someone in there.
Sorry,
Okay.
I had a question about what you just said. So the reason why you're only letting the buyer use part of it is because they can't qualify and then when they qualify, you let them buy the whole building.
Yeah, let's say they just affordability-wise can't take on the 2 units yet, or don't want the responsibility of, or don't have a family member yet, right? That can share it. So really, they only fit into 1 unit. But after they get financing, could probably get a finance as a rental, right? Because it'll show some income. But as a rent-to-own buyer, I don't think you want to turn the whole house over to them yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
Watch it up, potentially. They've never been a landlord that, unless they have family members.
Okay.
When you guys might spit that out, it just means it's clear in my head. If it's not clear, just tell me.
No, that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And then if they need help, Kyle, hit us, right? We'll talk to you about it. Because one of the 2s we still have. We turned it into a sub 2 and kept it. It's on a long-term rent-to-own contract. And the other one we've since spun out of. But both of them were taken to use the whole thing.
Okay. Okay.
Now, if you want to record that conversation or you want me to help you with the call, just tell me.
Yeah, I'll work on recording it. That way you can hear it for future.
Okay, cool.
You got it. You can do it. It's pretty straightforward, Kyle. I mean, you can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, real cool. Crystal clear on that one, you guys?
Yep.
All right.
So am I tracking if I have to have that conversation with that woman that I was just telling you about? That pretty much be the same thing.
If it's on the same deed. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're right. Same exact thing. Because if they're on separate deeds, you'd pivot to, hey, let's sell these off separately. Yeah.
Okay.
You're right, John. I didn't even put that together, but you're right.
Thanks.